The meeting moved quickly, documents came out, legal options were put on the table, and the message was simple. If the terms made sense, they'd move ahead. That moment marked a turning point. Young Buck brought in his own lawyer, because by then, 50 Cent's dismissal of his career wasn't just industry talk. By 2023, that prediction had become a legal outcome. Buck walked away owing around $200,000, piled on top of years of financial trouble, tax issues, bankruptcies, and court cases dating back to the early 2010s. This wasn't a short-lived rap beef traded on mixtapes in the 2000s. For more than a decade, 50 Cent used contracts, lawsuits, and very public humiliation as long-term pressure. Anytime Buck started regaining his footing, another legal filing, leaked document, or online jab would appear, knocking him right back down. Buck, for his part, always claimed the music came first. Early on, he wasn't earning much, sometimes nothing, but he kept going because he loved creating. Ironically, the thing he cared about least, money, became the tool that trapped him. Once the alleged $250,000 owed to 50 was weaponized in court, a pattern emerged. The moment Buck looked close to stabilizing his life, a new financial or public hit would land. The 2023 settlement forced him to pay over $200,000 after already spending around $445,000 in legal fees and selling jewelry, studio gear, and parts of his catalog to build an estate of about $150,000, only for creditors to divide it. This came after the IRS raided his home on August 3, 2010 for over $300,000 in unpaid taxes, followed by a 2012 auction of his belongings that brought in just $53,000. Beyond the financial blow, the image of the Platinum G-Unit star who broke Nashville's hip-hop ceiling was slowly dismantled in front of the public. What makes all this feel less like business and more like a calculated takedown is how perfectly timed each setback seemed. In 2020, Buck filed bankruptcy again, not to escape responsibility, but to break free from what he said was an outdated G-Unit contract that blocked him from releasing new music. Even though he stayed active with mixtapes throughout the 2010s, he claimed cease and desist orders kept him from truly returning. For over a decade, every attempt to climb back up seemed to trigger another fall engineered from above. After years of disputes, the 2023 court ruling hit at the worst possible moment. Right as young Buck was trying to rebuild his name after prison and after the surprising G-Unit reunion in 2014. That comeback, along with the 2014 to 2015 EP run, had fans thinking the beef was finally dead. Instead, the judgment became the final confirmation that 50 Cent's version of events had prevailed. Buck later reflected on that period by saying he had tried to bring everyone back together, but things simply ended the way they ended. What made the situation even heavier was how 50 used the internet as a battlefield. He routinely turned Buck's legal problems into comedy content, adding a public sting to every private setback. For example, several of Buck's bond violations and legal troubles in Sumner County, Tennessee, including a 2020 arrest and another jail stay in April 2025 for missing meetings with his bond supervisor, became memes. 50 would grab Buck's mugshot, zoom in, and post captions mocking his appearance as though it were just another gag for social media. This wasn't new behavior. Back in late 2011, 50 joked online that he was giving my $250,000 back, referencing the same chunk of money that would later grow into a years-long financial battle. Then in 2019, when leaked recordings from Buck's private life went viral, 50 fired off more posts, leaning into homophobic jokes that turned personal speculation into public entertainment. Everything traces back to that disputed $250,000. The paperwork, at least from Buck's side, was vague, while 50's filings looked clean and straightforward. Court documents described the money as a personal loan from 50 to Buck. Buck countered that he either never received the funds, or that if the money did move, it was meant as an advance on future albums he was never allowed to release because G-Unit blocked his projects. But when the bankruptcy battle unfolded, Buck's team couldn't produce a contract or written proof that contradicted 50's version. The judge ultimately ruled in 50's favor, treating the money as a legitimate debt rather than a label advance. That missing documentation, the unexplained gap in the money trail, is precisely where insiders believe the real leverage was created. Turn an unclear business arrangement into a personal IOU that can be enforced long after studio sessions end. Looking back over their history, money was always the fault line in their relationship, even before the feud went public. In March 2008, around the same time Buck appeared on G-Unit's Elephant in the Sand mixtape, suggesting things were improving. He gave an interview saying he had never collected a royalty check despite having a platinum album, major placements like Bloodhound on Get Rich or Die Tryin', and group success with Beg for Mercy hitting number 2 on the charts. Weeks later, on April 7, 2008, 50 called into Hot 97 to announce that Buck was no longer part of G-Unit. Soon after, 50 leaked the now infamous phone call where Buck could be heard crying and asking for help, leading Buck to drop his rebuttal track My Interview and eventually release the phone conversation himself. From that point forward, the feud was never just about missing verses or bruised egos. It became a battle over who held financial power, who controlled the music, and who would be seen as the disciplined businessman versus the artist who couldn't keep it together. I was shocked people were telling me, man, 50 is really paying attention to you. Then came another call. Yo, M loves the record. He wants to mix it. I said, M, as in Eminem? That moment launched everything. They flew me out, and the doors began to open. But industry insiders who've watched 50 Cent's feuds for years say that using contracts, receipts, and financial records as weapons is a signature move, not something that started or ended with young Buck. We've seen him call out alleged debts in the Floyd-Mayweather dispute, joke about paying taxes for former friends, and repeatedly push the narrative that he funded, managed, and rescued people who later turned their backs on him. With Buck, 50 publicly claimed that he had paid Buck's taxes several times before stepping away, painting Buck as reckless with money and ungrateful. That image only looked more convincing when the IRS raided Buck's home in 2010, and the 2012 weapons conviction sent him to federal prison for 18 months. Buck's Chapter 13 bankruptcy filing in 2010 technically got him out of his restrictive G-Unit contract, but the victory came with collateral damage, losing property, leverage, and the commercial momentum he had built through Straight Outta Cashville and Buck the World. And while social media posts and public trolling got the attention, there was also an ongoing undercurrent of psychological pressure when audio leaked in 2019 allegedly involving Buck and a trans woman, and blogs turned it into tabloid fodder. 50 didn't sit quietly. He reposted clips and added captions suggesting Buck had fallen out with him because of his personal life, turning an already sensitive situation into a running joke across social media. Even during the 2014 to 2015 G-Unit reunion, when everything looked stable from the outside thanks to releases like The Beauty of Independence and The Beast is G-Unit, the peace didn't last. By 2018, the cycle restarted. Buck dropped Can't Lose in March and talked about a third studio album with involvement from 50 and Drive Dre, but soon faced new cease and desist threats and claims from 50 that he owed more than $300,000 and couldn't drop music without permission. Every time Buck tried to reclaim his narrative, through mixtapes, independent albums like The Rehab, or interviews, another clip, another jab, or another legal maneuver would appear. By Buck's own words, he eventually stopped trying to argue publicly. Ain't no sense in talking about it. Let me just show you. He sat down for one of his first interviews in years, promising new music, new movement, and a clean start. But even in his veteran years, the legal pressure didn't go away. His recent bond violations in Sumner County led to a 30-day jail sentence in April 2025 after prosecutors said he missed several required meetings with his bond supervisor while on GPS monitoring for 2 active cases involving domestic and substance-related allegations. With his bond revoked, he sat in county jail awaiting another hearing to determine whether he would even get another chance at release. It showed that the same cycle, legal trouble, public scrutiny, and strategic pressure, continued to follow him deep into the later stages of his career. As protesters gathered outside the Tennessee courthouse, Claiming Buck was being unfairly targeted, 50 Cent once again leveraged the situation for public spectacle. He posted Buck's mugshot, mocked his appearance, and attached a joking back-to-work caption, folding real legal hardship into his signature brand of humor. Even after Buck walked free around May 12, 2025, focusing on music anniversaries, social media, and preparing for a trial, now pushed back to January 12, 2026. Sources say 50's legal team quietly stayed in the background, reviewing filings and monitoring developments. It raises a chilling question. Was this ever really about recovering money, or about sending a message to anyone watching about the consequences of standing on the wrong side of his power? Maybe young Buck's biggest misstep wasn't the debt itself. It was trusting 50 in the first place. Take the iconic Summer Jam reunion on June 1, 2014. On the surface, it looked like a heartfelt reconciliation. Buck, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and 50 Cent side by side, crowd roaring, hugs shared, smiles exchanged. Then came the two EPs in late 2014 and early 2015, which gave fans the illusion that the feud was over. But fast forward to 2018 and beyond, blocked albums, legal claims over $250,000, it starts to look less like forgiveness and more like strategic positioning. The reunion may have been the opening move in a long game, a setup to pull Buck back into range before the legal strike landed. Buck himself explained the artist's perspective. Once music hits the streets, the people respond. They're going to let you know what you're dealing with, he said, promising new projects and videos. And indeed, between 2015 and 2018, he hustled harder than ever, dropping his 10 series of mixtapes, building momentum, and teasing what he called his true third studio album, with 50 and Drive Dre as executive producers. When the single Can't Lose dropped on March 30, 2018, it felt like a major comeback. Buck back on the big stage, Dre attached, old wounds seemingly healed. Almost immediately, the narrative shifted. Industry reports and court documents show 50 claiming Buck owed over $300,000, issuing cease and desist orders and blocking new music while holding him under the remnants of past agreements. The same man who had stood beside him at Summer Jam was now reportedly using contracts and legal leverage to ensure that Buck's new album never fully launched, and at the center of it all was the infamous $250,000. On paper, 50 Cent called it a personal loan, the same money pursued in bankruptcy court. Buck insisted in filings and interviews that it was tied directly to his G-Unit recording deal, essentially an advance on albums and projects that were delayed, blocked, or never cleared. If that's true, the 2023 settlement becomes something far darker than a simple debt case. It looks like a legal maneuver designed to reclaim money Buck was meant to earn, but couldn't because the very camp suing him allegedly blocked the releases that would have generated that income in the first place. It wasn't just a dispute over money. It was a long game in control, narrative, and leverage, where every handshake, reunion, and EP release had layers of calculation behind it. The contrast is stark when you line this up with 50 Cent's public persona. Here's a man who built an empire on get rich or die tryin', preaching to millions that success comes from grinding against the system, betting on yourself, and refusing to fold under pressure. Yet when young Buck tried to live that ethos, pushing through bankruptcies in 2010 and 2020, fighting for his masters, and grinding the mixtape circuit just to stay afloat, 50's legal moves undercut every bit of it. Court filings and creditor breakdowns show him positioned not as a mentor or ally, but as one of the largest hands in Buck's pocket, taking $200,000 from an already battered estate and leaving Buck scrambling to satisfy remaining obligations. Buck himself emphasized that life experiences shape the music and how audiences connect. A lot of the things I've been through, people start paying close attention and realize I've been him, he said. That line between personal struggle and public scrutiny becomes even more pointed when you consider rumors circulating in the industry during the 2020 to 2023 bankruptcy. According to a former road manager and two label consultants, 50's team allegedly pressured distribution partners and potential backers to stall Buck's independent releases. The message, they claim, was clear: as long as the $250,000 dispute remained unresolved, anyone helping Buck drop a major project risked legal entanglement with G-Unit's lawyers. No label has publicly confirmed this, and major companies have stayed silent, but the timing is hard to ignore. Every time Buck tried to scale a rollout, from regional deals to streaming pushes, something stalled as the courtroom clock ticked in 50's favor. If that rumor holds even partial truth, what we're looking at isn't just a feud, it's financial sabotage. Buck liquidated his catalog and personal items to build a modest $1 million estate, spent nearly $500,000 on legal costs, and still had to carve out $200,690 for 50. All while allegedly being restricted from generating the very revenue he needed to repay the debt. The same person demanding payment may have been controlling the streams of income that would allow repayment. This was far from a petty royalty dispute. It's a chess game where the board may have been tilted long before the judge signed anything. Protesters outside the courthouse framed their demonstration as a stand against what they called political and police corruption. One participant said she hoped the group would grow and eventually start weeding out corrupt police, judges, DAs, all of it. Meanwhile, the pattern between Buck's legal troubles and 50's online behavior is undeniable. In 2016, when Buck was accused of threatening to burn down an ex-partner's apartment and served 7 months behind bars. The incident resurfaced repeatedly in public whenever their feud flared. By 2019, leaked audio of Buck speaking with a trans person exploded across gossip outlets, and 50 amplified it, reposting clips and firing off mocking lines that turned private life into a running joke. In 2020, Buck faced arrest in Tennessee over domestic conflict, vandalism, and possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, released on a $60,000 bond. 50 used the moment to remind the public that Buck still supposedly owed him money. The cycle didn't stop there. Court records show that on April 7, 2025, Buck appeared before a judge for repeated failures to meet his bond supervisor, a requirement tied to ongoing substance and domestic-related charges. He was sentenced to 30 days in county jail, booked the same day, and scheduled for a bond review once the month ended. The pattern is clear: legal entanglements, public ridicule, and financial pressure intertwined, following Buck well into what should have been his veteran years. Within hours of Buck being booked, 50 Cent reposted the fresh mugshot, zoomed in on the shine of Buck's bald head, and added a mocking caption joking that he needed to get back to work. The courts treated Buck as a repeat rule breaker. 50 treated him like content. Every sanction, every setback folded into his brand of public entertainment. Protesters spoke out against the straight-outta-Cashville rapper being sentenced, highlighting that David Darnell Brown, known as Young Buck, was a provider, a father, and a man caught in a messy, sometimes violent situation. Buck was jailed for bond violations, but 50 Cent's influence kept him under pressure. Years of legal, financial, and online attacks controlled Buck's career, reputation, and future. Will 50 ever relent?